the Predator franchise, it's had a rocky road, to say the least. We had, the Arnold amazing 80s movie put Predator on the map in a big bad way. And it's gone through a lot of iterations, Alien vs. Predator, Requiem, and things like that. And it took a while for Predator to be taken seriously again as a franchise that people really want to see. And the man to make that happen was Dan Trachtenberg. And Trachtenberg is this mic on?
Yeah.
No, and so, Dan really set the tone for how these stories can be interpreted today. And he did that with Prey, which went straight to Hulu, but was honestly one of the best straight to Hulu movies that we've seen in recent years. And then he did that with Predator Badlands in the theaters, which for the people that saw it blew us away, because it was really the first time that the Predator was the protagonist, that he was the leading person. And it was an incredible achievement of what you can do with this franchise. And then not to mention the animated Predator Killers of Killers, which was more of an anthology, which included maybe some past people from Predator movies that we love and have seen before. And so he really started building out this Predator world that he was fully owning. And it was so beautiful to see. And we were like, well, what is he going to do next? Well, unfortunately, it seems like it might not be Predator, because it is now being reported, and this comes to us from comicbookmovie.com. They say, after spending the last few years reviving and steering the Predator franchise at Disney 20th Century Studios, Dan Trachtenberg, sorry if I'm butchering that, has jumped ship to Paramount Pictures. THR reports that the filmmaker has signed a 3-year first look directing and producing deal with the studio to develop, direct, and produce future projects with his upcoming producing partner, Ben Rosenblatt. Trachtenberg actually began his career at Paramount, where he helmed his 2016, very underrated, feature debut, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Trachtenberg said in a statement, and let's share this bad boy so we can look at it together. Let me see. And man, I love 10 Cloverfield Lane. That is just such a good one. Underrated.
Such a good movie. Yes.
Really is John Goodman's Misery for me. I thought he was just brilliant in that. So after the deal for Paramount was signed, sealed, and delivered, Trachtenberg said, as a kid, I remember seeing the Paramount logo and dreaming of the epic adventure that would follow. He says, now to have the opportunity to bring new, huge, and emotional stories to giant screens is literally a dream come true. Ben and I cannot wait to join Dana, Josh, Don, and the entire Paramount team in pursuing our shared vision of making Paramount once again the apex of cinema. And Greenstein and Goldberg from Paramount said, Dan has an extraordinary ability to deliver films that are both daring and deeply entertaining. He has a rare instinct for tension, scale, and storytelling that connects with audiences worldwide. We're excited to welcome him to the studio. So, Vic, I want to ask you, can I call you Vic, by the way?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I want to ask you, one, huge congratulations to Dan, one of the young creators that is really crushing it with some big IP. I wanted to ask you, though, what do you think this means for the Predator saga that he's been creating the past few years? And now that he's part of the Paramount family, is there any projects that you would like to see Dan take on that you think he would be really good in revitalizing this IP?
Absolutely. What I think it ultimately means is that there is a limit to whatever we're going to get from this new Predator renaissance. He did a phenomenal job revitalizing, reframing what the Predator franchise could be, Prey definitely hit a lick when it took us back through time and gave us different iterations of what it was like for the you to show up and do things throughout our history. Absolutely brilliant. Love that. He set a framework that can pass on beyond him. I think that there will be other Predator movies. The question will then be, okay, you see the bar, can you match it? If you can't match it, it's gonna fall on your ears, but that's gonna be your challenge.
Mhm.
The place where I think he'll go first in this new framework, though, is possibly tapping a popular, common Paramount property, but coming at
Don't
it from a
say
different
it. Does it
way.
start with a
I
T?
gotta say it.
Does it
It
start
does
with a
not start
T?
with a T. No,
Okay.
no.
Not
I think
Transformers. Okay.
not Transformers. No, I think he will get his claws into Star Trek, but from a
Let's
different point of
go.
view. So let's go instead of let's go Star Trek universe, but the Federation is not the point. What are the other alien societies, entities like? What happens if the Romulans meet the Borg without the Federation's interference? If they have not,
Mhm.
involved themselves, do they have any sort of interactions, and what does that look like? I think that's the thing that he's going to give us is he's going to take some of these things that we've known from one perspective and show us what it looks like from the other side.
I love that. I really love that. And when I look at the box office of Predator Badlands, so this bad boy was made for 105 million and in
Mhm.
gross worldwide 185 almost. So
Wow, that's such an underrated
yeah, and
return.
it's
Ah.
really not a great return for a really good movie that he made, and it's really
Mhm.
unfortunate. But unfortunately, studios speak numbers, and numbers influence if they're going to continue with these
Yeah.
kind of movies. And maybe this was a signal to him that he needs to sign a deal while he's hot. And
Right.
right now, Paramount was just purchased by the Ellisons, and they're
Mhm.
looking to snatch up talent. They already did it
Mhm.
with Timothy Chalamet and the director from Logan. I'm blanking on
Mhm.
the name.
Mangold,
Um, yes, thank you. So
James.
they're
Yeah.
already snatching up some hot commodities, right? And Dan
Mhm.
is another one right now to really build out their sci-fi and fantasy slate that they have.
Mhm.
And so I think it's a really smart move, but it's really unfortunate because these Predator movies that he made with Predator Badlands, Prey, and Killers of Killers were arguably the best Predator movies that we've
Period.
seen thus far. And so
Yes.
I really wanted to see where he was going with this next. But of course, box office determines if you're going then. Now, with Paramount, this is a great opportunity because there is some untapped IP that can
Mhm.
really use a revitalization, if you will. And so, of course, people's minds go to Transformers, but as we know, Michael Bay might be coming back. They're looking at
Mhm.
maybe Shia coming back. There's a lot of stuff going on that we're not privy to, so it seems like that
Mhm.
might be covered. Another possibility is the Cloverfield franchise, which kind
Mhm.
of fell flat on his face when it was being pigeonholed into other scripts that had nothing to do with Cloverfield. And they made it a Cloverfield movie and it just didn't work out. And so there is an
Mhm.
opportunity for Dan to come back and continue the path that he made with 10 Cloverfield Lane and continue to build that out. And so there's some potential there.
Mhm.
What I am also hearing, and Jeff Schneider, the insider, the Snyder, if you will, was saying that this is a possibility. And I want to know what you think about this.
Okay.
There has been rumblings of a sequel or a one-off of World War Z, the movie
Mm.
starring Brad Pitt, which
Mhm.
was very underrated and fantastic. And so Jeff Schneider had this to say about this IP. He said, but the piece of IP that I most suspect Paramount wants Trachtenberg to tackle is World War Z, as he'd be a perfect fit for that sequel slash reboot, depending on how the studio wants to play it. I don't know if Brad Pitt is a fan of the Predator franchise, but strictly as a producer of exceptional taste, he has to appreciate what Trachtenberg and Rosenblatt have done with the IP alongside Steve Asbell at 20th Century Studios.
Mhm.
Would you like to see Dan taking on the World War Z universe? And do you think that his talents would lend well to this IP that's really been untapped since the first movie came out?
True. World War Z as a book had a lot more range to it than what the movie got to tap into.
Yep.
But and I'm a huge zombie fan. I love zombies as a narrative genre, storytelling device. I love them.
Yeah. And a
Um,
song.
right?
Zombie, zombie.
Like such a good song. I don't know that I love the idea of Dan immersing himself into that. I feel like it is oddly limited in a very real sort of way.
Oh yeah.
It is not the Paramount Picture franchise that I would actually really want him to take over. And though I threw out, Star Trek initially, that's not even the one that I would love for him to really take.
Okay.
The one that I would love for him to take, which is due for a reboot, um, definitely needs a refresh in terms of its execution and concept, would be Mission Impossible. If we had him take on the Mission Impossible franchise, removed from Tom Cruise, right? Tom is
Interesting.
done.
Glenn Powell.
Tom has done it, right? Like, what does that look like now? As IMF has moved forward in a different
Yeah.
direction. Do we get something a little different? And I think that has enough versatility in it for Dan to really showcase some things that would just blow our minds. But can I see? I mean, that's the thing about Dan, though. Dan is such a great storyteller. I could think that World War Z would be limiting, and he would show me like, no, you just don't even know how I'm going to approach it, and
That's
that's
true.
the brilliance of him. So if that is what the direction is, I'm for it. But I definitely would really like to see something that already has enough fertile ground in the obvious sense that
Yeah.
him being added to it just is that much more exciting.
Yeah. No, I love where your mind's going because it just shows how much IP Paramount has that is
Hmm.
ready to get a new iteration. And unfortunately, I don't think we're far enough from the last Mission Impossible movie. I
True,
mean,
true.
this bad boy was made for 400 million and it
Right.
made barely 600. It's
Hmm.
another one of those the budget will influence if they're going to make more. And so I think they might want some more breathing room, but I would
Hmm.
love to see Dan take on any of the IP that we made because he thinks about things like we don't. And
Totally
that's what
different way.
makes him truly special. So
Right.
let us know what you guys think. Do you think that because of this deal that maybe his time with the Predator franchise is done and now that he's at Paramount, do you want him to see him take on a Mission Impossible or a Transformers or a Saving Miss Daisy? No, I don't know. Anything that Paramount has. Let
Hmm.
us know your thoughts. Drop a comment below.